Good evening and welcome to another Boots on the Ground. I'm your host Gimbal B, and joining me this week is Kane Sparrow,
Hey,
Zatara Rot,
Good evening.
and the Black Jackal.
Good day.
So before we get started tonight, there's a few things I want to talk about. The first one is like where I've been. I've had tons of real life stuff going on recently. Like the last 2 weeks I've been helping my mum get ready to sell her house, and before that I was working on a Dust 514 League, which is starting up in about a month. And just sort of general real life stuff. Like I've been pretty busy, but a lot of that stuff is now sorted and won't be affecting me at all. Like I'm gonna have to go away for like a few days, but aside from that, like that's pretty much all dealt with. So, sorry, dogs in the background. So that's all. Like I can go back to doing my weekly schedule, and that's all fine. And the second thing I want to talk about, and I really didn't ever want to have to do anything like this. My monitor broke today, so I'm down to one monitor, which makes recording Dust a real pain in the ass. And I really don't want to have to do this, but like I went to the opticians yesterday, and they're like, "You have really bad eyesight now. You really need a new pair of glasses. If you could drive, you wouldn't be allowed to." So I kind of need like a bit of money getting a new monitor, because this monitor was a few weeks out of warranty when it broke. So like I just can't afford glasses and a monitor, and getting some other recording equipment maybe if I can afford it. So there is a PayPal link in the video, which if you want to donate some money, like I would be very grateful. And yeah, like thanks to everybody who would do that. Like I kind of just need a little support right now, and I hate asking for money. And like this will probably, hopefully, be the only time I ever have to do it. But like I need a monitor to actually record Dust. So yeah. Oh, and if there's any spare money, like I said during the CCP charity event that they did a few months back, that if they raised a certain amount of money, I'd get a tattoo. I get 514 tattooed onto my arm. So if there is money left over, like I'm actually gonna do that. So yeah, and I'll post pictures and stuff. And everybody who donates like $5 or more gets like an episode of Boots on the Ground dedicated to them. But yeah, and like sorry about that, but like it's been like a tough week. Anyway, I guess we'll move on to actual Dust 514 stuff. That's probably why you're all here. So I just want to go over some like news stuff that's happened this week, and then we'll go into the actual discussion. There's going to be an event this weekend where you can get 1 million SP per character. I think that's the case anyway. Kane will probably clarify that.
my dogs always like to pick just the right time to bark. So the Million SP event basically is you kill, if the whole entire community has the whole weekend to kill 1 million clones, and if they reach that benchmark, everyone who's participated in 10 or more matches gets 1 million SP. And the really interesting twist to this is that boosters do apply. So you can have up to 2 million SP out of this event.
And that would be per character as well, from what I understand.
As far as I know, it's per character. So if you could have a booster on 3 different characters and then play 10 matches with all 3 different characters, and all 3 would get the reward.
Cool. And just to follow on from that, there is an Omega Booster sale right now, and you can get a 3-day Omega Booster for 5,000 Orm, which is not a lot of money, from what I understand. I'm trying to remember how much that is. Like, how much are they normally? Or did they even exist before this week?
No, I think they had 3-day Omegas before, but I think they were only available in the actual packs, if I remember correctly. Because I think before it was 7-day, and then you had a month-long Omega boosters.
Okay. And there'll be links to that in the video description if you haven't seen that before. They're also just on the Dust forums. And the last thing I want to just mention quickly is I totally missed this. This was like December, and like I don't think anybody actually saw this aside from people looking at the EVE forums, but EVE Online and Dust 514 YouTube videos can now be monetized. There is a forum post that has a thing saying that they can be monetized now. And hopefully we'll get a sticky post in the Dust forums about that. I was bugging Kane and Logibro about it. Because YouTube are real dicks. Like when it comes to that kind of thing, you really need like a sticky post saying, or like ideally you want like a web page. Like most companies have a web page like saying you can monetize our videos on YouTube. But yeah. But there's a link down to the EVE forum post in the video description for that. And yeah, that's a good change as far as I'm concerned, because I think people joke about it's only a couple of dollars a month, but it's actually a lot more than that. And that's money that you could, in theory, like pay for an EVE account or like buy boosters every month. So yeah, we're just gonna go straight into these dropsuit. There was a dropsuit dev blog that came out for the patch, and also the patch was announced. Like it's on the 25th of March. Like they actually announced the date. So patch is 25th, and I guess the thing I want to start off with this dropsuit dev blog is that we are getting a respec for dropsuit command. Kane, do you want to go into that a bit?
I know the CPM was generally pushing for a full respec, but you know, at the end of it, the best that seems like that CCP was able to do for right now is the dropsuit command. Now, it's definitely, I think no respec would have been awful, because the thing is, the suits stats are changing. You know, you've got the different bonuses, and that all combines to make a very different feel for the suits. And now the thing is, with the weapons, a weapon you can put on any suit, and you know, with dropsuit upgrades you can apply all of those things generally to all of your suits. But the suits themselves, that's very specific, you know, to those particular suits. So I think, in the grand scheme of things, it ended up being an all right compromise, especially paired up with the Million SP event coming up this weekend. Still think a full respec would have been nice, just to kind of have everybody at square one. But at the same time, I think we ended up at a good place.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, heavies, for example, had one race option, and they had to go Amar. Like that was their only choice. And now that they have more options, like it was kind of unfair to all the Amar heavies out there who just wanted to be whatever heavy, like that they had to be forced into picking one race. So it is good that that's getting addressed. And honestly, I would have liked to have seen like the other like weaponry and dropsuit upgrades get respect as well, but I think I can settle. Like this is a good enough compromise that I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean that. Sure, the extra SP I think will go a long way to alleviating that, because I know, like, you know, if you could about 2 million SP into a weapon, you know, that weapon's going to be pretty top notch in terms. So you know, this just in one weekend, you're going to be halfway there.
Yeah, that's an entire dropsuit as well that you can spec into.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and I know the thing is, I know that still there are a lot of people that were saving up SP as well. So I think if you combine the dropsuit command respec, you know, you combine that with people saving SP up, and then also with the event, I think we're going to end up in a pretty good place.
Okay, Zatara, your thoughts?
Give me just one moment. I'm sorry, I'm taking care of something. Can you just get me for one moment?
Yeah, Jackal then.
What was that? Sorry.
What are your thoughts on the respec?
Well, like everyone else, I would have liked to have had a full respec, since this is pretty much bringing racial parity to infantry, but drop suits are, as Kane's been saying, the primary point of contention because we didn't have them all. So bringing that in is also is a good place to be at.
I definitely think that I'm supremely grateful that the CPM and the threads that people made, and there was obviously quite a bit of locking over the last few weeks. And the thread that CCP Logibro made was obviously primer for this decision. Obviously it's frustrating for some of my players. They're frustrated that they have 10 or 12 million SP into stuff that they will not be using in 1.8, light weapons when they're going heavy. And that's frustrating, but I think more than anything, the fact that these two events are so close to 1.8, in addition to the drop suit command being refunded, I think it more than makes up for it, in my opinion. There's a lot to be grateful for.
Okay, so overall positive. I think most people are okay with like this middle ground, like the event combined with drop suits themselves being respect. But yeah, so we'll move on to the suits themselves. I mean, Kane, you are the heavy player here, as far as I know. I don't know if Jackal or Zatara, are you particularly like heavy-minded, or are you more assault or logi?
I plan to be. I've actually been waiting for the Caldari heavies to come out. I didn't want to spec into the MR.
1.8, I've crossed the threshold of getting to like 40 mil, so it's at a point now where you can pretty much run 3 roles effectively. And I've never used heavy extensively. I've used scout and an alt, and I've even been picking up scout recently, so I'm definitely gonna have a scout. But definitely just the way that heavies look right now, the flexibility to run that role is going to be necessary for me in PC. I'm going to have probably at least 1 scout, 1 heavy, and obviously 1 Amar Logi for sure for the links. Those are going to be imperative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I see that being a big trend for a lot of planetary conquest orientated corps is the Amar Logi role. With that uplink bonus, because uplinks with the nerf to uplinks, it's vital, essentially, to have those links performing at the level that you need them to perform. I mean, for me, I think in terms of the heavies, I know me and our group of heavies, we've been kind of mulling over the stats and stuff, and it really seems like the Galente heavy is going to be kind of the go-to heavy. There was definitely some consideration of the Caldari heavy because potentially being a forge kind of platform, but with the nerf to damage mods, that seems to be not quite as viable. And the thing is, your high slots are so limited because you can put some sensor stuff. You can put your shield boosters and stuff like that. Your shield extenders and your energizers, and the damage mods, but it just doesn't have the flexibility and the utility that low slots often have. I mean, you could do speed mods, you can damp, you can tank up your suit. You just have a lot. This seems to be a lot more that you can do with those low slots than you can do with the high slots. As when you look at the Caldari versus the Galente, I think definitely the middle ground ones are going to be the Mimitar and the Amar. I think the Amar is still going to be something to reckon with because the 2 high, 3 low. It's a good middle ground. So you're not too committed to those high slots, but you have enough high to actually work with. But I don't know, it really, because you throw in that passive rep that the Galente Heavy has, even though it's a really, really minor one, that still can make a difference, because that's, you sit around for 30 seconds and see, that's 30 HP you've got, so.
Well, and not even that, you realize that, if it was me and I'm running a heavy, I'm probably going to run at least an enhanced, probably a complex rep. And if I'm running a complex rep, that's like six reps a second on top of your 3, that's just huge. Like almost hitting 10 reps a second with 1 complex. I can tell you, like, as a Galente Logi since 1.2, that 5 reps a second is just, it's very nuanced, but it's come up clutch in a lot of situations, and I can't even imagine how awesome it will be having the ability to have like 1,000 HP and still rep by yourself at almost 10 seconds, 10 reps a second.
Yeah, I'm not
with
sure
one complex
if,
repper.
I think the base HP is not per level. I think it's just a base 1 rep for the suit. It doesn't actually go up as you level up. So it's it may not be quite as significant, but it's still kind of something nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, personally, when I run a suit, I always like to have at least like if it doesn't have self-rep, I always like to run a reactive plate at least, just so I have some self-rep. So I could just like run a standard proto plate instead and get that same benefit of being able to heal slowly over time.
Mm-hmm. And the resistances. I mean, you're resisting basically the 2 most popular rifles. Now the changes in 1.8 may vary that, but I mean, you're looking at having armor resistance to both the railgun and the combat rifle. And not only that, because you're resistant to projectile, you're also having resistance against the HMG. So if you go toe to toe with the heavy, you're gonna have an advantage there as well. So there's a lot to like about the Galente Heavy, I think.
And the explosive resistance is on all heavies, right? That's like a base.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and those count against remote explosives, right?
Yeah, it's a splash damage resistance, and I think that's going to be huge. I mean, heavies are really going to shine in 1.8, I do believe. And people are going to have to think.
I'm predicting a flavor of the month. I'm predicting flavor of the month, no doubt. I think that's going to be a huge transition, especially after this heavy game. I can, because you're talking about, right now, like, it's tough enough for me to kill a heavy 1v1 with my Galente Logi, even if I'm, aiming better than the other person.
Yeah.
Or it feels like anyways, but now, like, 1.8, having my weapon damage nerfed and having to run my own repper now, like, that's less tank. And then on top of that, the heavies are, I mean, heavies are monsters right now in CQC. It's going to be really terrifying. I think on top of that, Scouts having the second equip slot is going to be a huge game changer with racial parity now. But definitely heavies are going to be what I anticipate is the new flavor of the month.
Yeah, I think it's a potential possibility for sure. It's really going to boil down to how the meta plays out in terms of all the different suits combining together. Now, I mean, because the other thing is, heavies are getting, that's 3 new suits too. So there's also that base excitement around having that much new content, and so people want to try out the new shinies. So that's kind of another driving force. I mean, there's definitely a lot of changes coming to the Logi suits and the assaults. But in terms of just raw new stuff, the heavy is winning out there. I mean, I think the new designs, they've definitely had some variation to them from the past until now. I think the new designs are pretty slick looking too. So I think that's, to a certain extent, it's not a huge driver, but it's definitely kind of like that cherry on top. Not only does X suit work well, but I look badass while I'm doing it. So.
Yeah, I have to
And
admit.
on top of that, you got sorry.
No, you first.
I was going to add on top of that the fact that the heavy suit now also unlocks the racial commandos, which have the damage bonus to offset the nerfing of the damage modifiers. So these commando suits that are going to be running racial weapons are going to be as damaging as they are now on assault suits and other things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could definitely see the commando suits being right. See, that's the thing. I think, yes, you could end up with the heavies being maybe the go-to thing, but I think you have enough stuff coming into play, like with you have some people that are very used to having that extra damage. I could see them gravitating towards commando suits. The only issue would be are they willing to move out of medium and or light suits to get that extra damage. Is the thing.
I think what it does do is it means that people who go into the heavy route now have more options as far as like what they can do. So you can go into heavies, but you have that more flexibility to go into commandos instead of straight into medium suits.
Exactly. That
To
is
be perfectly
very
honest,
true.
the only small gripe I have about it is a Caldari Commando. It hasn't got a bonus to your swarm launcher, which is a Caldari weapon.
Yeah, that
It's
is a
small
bit
gripe,
weird.
it's a gripe.
I think, does the Minmatar get a bonus to that? Because it's an explosive
So-
weapon.
I believe it's classified as an explosive weapon, so I believe it's Minmatar.
So it means, honestly, you could end up with a situation where the Minmatar but swarms are so terrible. It,
Don't get me started. Oh, no.
but I mean, in certain situations, the swarms can be effective. But I think the meta right now with the changes to the the way the damage proficiency skills work. I think you're ending up with a meta situation in terms where there's no basically, I don't count the plasma cannon. I'm sorry for plasma cannon users, but there's no AV weapon that's really good against shields. It's all bonuses to armor and subtractions to shields. So I think your shield tanks are going to get king on this, and that kind of makes the swarm even less of an attractive option to pick up.
I actually believe they should make flux grenades seek like AV grenades, because flux grenades actually do quite a bit of damage to shields when they're not hardened.
I guess. Although did you guys see Moody's video on flux grenades? I think it was called What the Flux.
Yeah, I did.
And
Yep.
that's really, like, a bunch of the stuff that flux grenades can do is actually really interesting. So they do have a lot of advantages, and I'm actually thinking about switching to Commando, and I have proto grenades, so I'm kind of annoyed that I'm not getting my proto grenade skill back. But I don't know, like, flux grenades I think are going to be used a lot more, especially after that video showing like exactly how they work and all the cool stuff that they can do.
Flux grenades are amazing. They're just, you can't go without them in Planetary Conquest, especially with how important clearing equipment is. You just can't, yeah, you can run a core locus and you can get some kills and stuff in, but just the clearing ability and the versatility that a flux gives you just can't be beat.
Yeah, we were actually not to make this too much of a tangent, but essentially we were playing a planetary conquest battle last week on a surface research lab, and we ran into a problem where there was ADSs in the city. There were shield tanked. It was actually Sir Snuggles from Red Star, I believe, and those shield tank ADSs are so tough to beat. You basically have to go and commit a heavy to go and do it, or have another ADS crash into him, or have a rail tank do it. But it's really tough to get him in position on the surface research map on Bravo on a 4-point. And so we actually, it was really funny. The meta evolved that we had to throw fluxes at him, and then we had a heavy that was sitting with an HMG that would DPS him down once we got him into armor. And it's so funny that fluxes were they were sort of like the meta evolution there instead of forge guns.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really another example of nuanced tactics that had to evolve.
Yeah. Anyway, moving back to the heavy suits. So, like, commanders are all getting they're all getting the reload bonus. They're all getting damage bonus. So they are going to be like I guess not quite the glass cannon, but the damage dealers anyway, as far as like everything goes. And especially with the change to mass drivers, I think the Minmatar Commando is going to be very popular. It's definitely what I'm speccing into.
Dual mass drivers. I can see that.
Oh god. Actually, no, I'd hate that because like mass drivers are great, but if someone has the high ground against you, you need another weapon basically.
I'm telling you though, some people you're gonna see it in pubs. You're gonna see it in pubs for like a good deal. Dual mass.
All they're going to do is
We already do say it with
it's
the
going to be high ground.
Commando.
Don't use the suit. High grounder, don't use that fitting. Don't use double mass drivers. But the mass driver clip outside of the the assault one is like the freedoms clip is like, small enough that being able to just swap over to another one would be huge, especially with the buff to damage now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, it makes me wish there was a Minmatar sniper rifle, just because like mass driver plus sniper rifle would be an amazing combo, especially with that damage bonus. But
I can
alas,
see a lot of people using the sniper rifle with the commando suit and the Caldari commando suit.
I wonder if
Sniper
that's going to
and
be.
railgun.
I wonder if it's going to be the suit of choice for that.
That would actually, yeah, I could see that being.
Well, it's got the
interesting.
damage modifier, it's got the damage increase, so I'd say probably going to be a fair chance that can happen.
It has 3 highs
Yeah.
as well, doesn't it?
2 highs. Or 3 highs in proto.
So yeah, I could see it being the sniper suit, and you get a proper not sidearm. You get a proper light weapon as well. So yeah.
Yeah, you get your railgun as well, so yeah.
So they are going to be like the kind of sit at the back and dish out damage kind of guys, and I'm really curious to see like how everybody like fits all of them and what weapons people use, because it's going to be interesting. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I don't know. Like the Amar one doesn't seem as good because like you have the scrambler rifle and like there isn't another good laser weapon.
The laser rifle.
Yeah, I don't know.
You only have the scramble rifle and laser rifle are your 2 options, really.
Yeah, but then you look at like Caldari, who gets sniper rifle and rail rifle, and those 2 are actually very different in like what they can do, whereas the scrambler rifles and the laser rifle are kind of very similar, I guess. Although the laser rifle is getting changed, so you never know. But Minmatar get like swarm launcher, mass driver, and combat rifle.
That's it. Combat rifle's not a projectile, isn't it? Oh, they get damage projectile.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they
the
get
Minotaur's
a lot.
definitely going to have a lot of flexibility to it. Is really what it comes to with having the light projectile and explosive bonus.
Whereas the Galente are going to have the assault rifle and the LOL cannon or shotgun, maybe.
Oh, the shotgun actually. That's gonna get a lot of out of it, I think. Especially, oh man, I used to do plasma cannon shotgun as a combo, because people would laugh when you fired a plasma cannon at them, and then they'd run straight into you and you'd kill them. So maybe that'll be like the troll suit.
Psychology metagame.
But yeah, I don't know. And like commandos are definitely going to be like the counter to sentinels, because you can sit back further and hit them hard from range.
And from looking at it, a scout suit equipped with a cloak will probably be counter to a commando.
Yeah, especially because Nova Knives are still keeping their ridiculous proficiency damage, so I can see them Nova Knives being like the counter to the heavies.
Gosh, with the Minmatar scout, I could, with that bonus to the Nova Knife damage as well.
But yeah.
Cloak,
Honestly, I do
charge with the Nova Knife, run, cloak up again.
I don't know if you guys worry about it, but I do worry slightly about like the I don't know if you've noticed this in 1.7, but I'm sure you guys have the number of heavies that run around with rail rifles. Has that been something you guys have noticed a lot?
I have,
Yeah.
but they're getting nerfed, so I'm not as worried.
I'm slightly worried, like even the even with the nerf, like that's gonna like I look at the for example the Caldari heavy with
Beacon.
I'm back.
Oh, jeez.
Welcome back, Gimbal!
welcome back to Boots on the Ground, Gimbal.
My ISP just like randomly decided to stop working.
I think Skype has decided that it hates all of us, but it only hates some of us at any given time.
That's true. But like my internet just like completely went down for like 5 minutes there.
Okay.
But it seems to be working now, so I guess we'll keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So someone was talking about, or Zatara was talking
I
about.
was talking about Caldari heavies, and me and Kane talked about this. Like, yeah, just the idea of like heavies with rail rifles and Caldari heavies. You know, there's been a lot of situations where I've seen them sit on the perimeter, on the outside of like a city, or in the city, but at a perimeter area where there's cover, and then they will basically have heavy with rail rifles and shoot you from afar and try to pick you off as you're rolling by. And I think with the Caldari heavy, I have an idea, just this fear that there's going to be a new class of people walking around who put rechargers on the high slot. So you have like 3 rechargers on a Caldari heavy is going to give you somewhere around 80 or 90 shields back per second, and with only 1 second of a depleted recharge delay before those shields kick back in, I can Kane even evolved on it. You could just throw Flux Nade on yourself.
So just flux, basically like a shield booster. You flux yourself when you want your shields to come back.
Can you imagine? Oh, I would. Oh, that would be tantalizing. Tantalizing.
That seems like a bit of a bug or a glitch to me.
I have to see this happen.
See,
I'll do it.
I'm
I'm speaking to it as soon as we get it out, so I'll be speaking to the Caldari heavy, so I'll record it for you.
Yeah. So I mean, now with the nerf to grenades, you're only going to have 2.
Stop them fighting, please. Shandy.
So you're only going to have 2 grenades. You're only going to have 2 chances to regen yourself like that. But I can tell you, I totally can see somebody popping out with a Caldari heavy, picking off some people, and then when they take some fire, they hop around, see them duck around the corner, and then you see a Flux Nade.
100%.
Yeah, and that would actually work at dual purposes as well. They duck around the corner, you chase them, and they flux themselves. You also get flushed at the same time. Those things have a rather large range.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. I could totally see that.
Not only do you walk around and get flushed, you also walk around to someone who's regenerating shield very quickly.
Yeah, but the thing is, as soon as you get hit, that shield regen gets stopped. So, it's not gonna. It's really going to be interesting. I really think the Caldari heavy is the weaker of the heavies, but I think in terms of just pure, maybe not necessarily competitive, but in terms of like fun and pub matches, I think that the Caldari heavy is going to be kind of like the go-to funsy, like have a good time heavy suit.
Yep, I agree.
Also, just as like a note to end on, I guess, with the Sentinels, because we've been talking about them for a while. Although I'm not entirely sure, because like the call keeps dropping. But I think they'll be great in LAVs. I mean, they already are, like the LAV gunner suit of choice, but I think they're actually going to be even better for that. And I'm actually curious if their damage reduction works against small turrets and large turrets, I guess.
Well, Kane would probably know more about that.
So
it does say damage type.
It's splash. It's splash damage is what I'm pretty sure that is what it applies to.
But
so,
I think they're talking about the actual the racial ones where you get the damage reduction to specific types.
I'm pretty sure it applies to all weapons that do damage of that type.
Okay, because that means the Galente is even better, because like rail turrets are amazing, like the small ones. So they're going to be resistant against those, which is kind of cool.
But I also see a rise of the explosive missiles, because no Sentinel gets racial damage reduction to explosive. Not racial anyway.
Well, they know, but they get a base one.
Yeah, they get a base one.
But anyway, we'll move on from the heavy suits. It's interesting, and there's going to be a whole ton of stuff happening with those. And I just want to see how it all works out. But for now, I think aside from the only prediction I would make is that Caldari Heavy is going to be the Forge Gunner suit of choice. It's the only 100% thing that I'm sure about.
Well, yeah, and it's going to be great against. I mean, most ADSs are shield and use missiles, and the thing is, you're going to have natural resist to those
Natural
explosions.
distance missiles, yeah.
So I could see it being the standoff, deal with an assault dropship kind of thing, and you can move around. So if the dropship does maybe get you down low on shields, you can duck and cover, and with that 1 sec before you start regenerating again. Yeah, you flux grenade yourself and start powering up again. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but we'll move on to the Scout, which is the only light one. The pilots didn't make it in, I'm afraid. But I'm sure vehicle users will make do.
I know I will.
Yeah, but I guess their big thing is that they're getting the cloak field reduction, so they're gonna be like invisible and run around invisible.
Yep, for 80 seconds. But thankfully, you cannot shoot while cloaked. So that's granted, I know some people are still very concerned with being cloaked and then switching to a weapon and then firing from it. So I think that's something that CCPs are going to need to pay very close attention to, because cloaks can very easily destroy kind of a competitor. You end up with basically everyone running around invisible in corners, like shooting each other.
Yeah,
we've seen that in other games that have instituted the cloak, where you run around as a ghost squad. The whole team is just stealthy.
Yeah, one of the kill zones actually had that problem. I'm pretty.
The newest Killzone 4 actually has that problem.
And it's a very dicey mechanic, and you have to treat it with a lot of respect in terms of being used. Some games have pulled it off really well. I would say my favorite would definitely be AVP2. They've always had the kind of they've had a really good kind of balance, but there's very basic things where something counters the cloak. The cloak's also going to give you a reduction to your profile as well. So it's definitely something that's going to have to be very carefully watched. But I think it'll create a lot of interesting dynamics on the battlefield that we have not seen before.
I also think because it's not a complete cloak, you can kind of make out blurred people, especially when they're moving. It's supposed to, you can see the blur of someone running around. The other thing was, if you have your weapon over someone who's cloaked, it'll show up, you'll get the indicator for it. So I can see a lot more people playing very sort of more carefully when they enter buildings and stuff. So doing proper sweeps of rooms and things like that.
I can definitely see it as being a huge advantage to getting scouts in closer. So scouts like shotgun scouts and stuff like that can get in closer a lot easier, because obviously at long range it'd be harder to pick up things like visual distortions. But
scouts are getting a proper role.
Yeah, and not only that, I think scouts are also going to have a lot of functionality even outside the cloak. The Caldari scout. I've had some of our guys are running numbers on them, and the amount of tank that you can put on them and still be able to move fast, and you can still have your you can still potentially dampen down, so you're not very easily scanned. There's a lot of flexibility there. I really think in terms of pilot suits not made, but with having 2 equipment slots. I really could actually see Scout being it's really going to be a toss up between Scouts and Logis. Logis definitely have a lot more equipment and CPU. There's a little bit more versatility there, but I could definitely see Scouts being go-to suits for pilots.
Yeah, I probably would be it myself
in
if I
tanks
wasn't
and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing to note about scouts that they're getting is a small hack bonus. Now everybody's getting a hack bonus, and it's the Minmatar get a proper skill bonus from it, but they all get either a 1.05% or 1.05 bonus, so I guess a 5% bonus, or the Minotaur get a base 10% bonus and the 25% from their skill. So they are going to be the sneak around and hack thing suit.
Yeah, and I've been running a min logi for a lot for that specific reason, for that speed hack. I mean, it's definitely a compelling role to have that speed hacker, that stealthy speed hacker. I mean, that really, pulling off a hack when you really need one behind enemy lines is really vital to a lot of matches. I mean, that is the difference between whether or not you win or lose that match. Those kind of very key flips that you can do on the stealth,
Makes some great point defense as well, because they can wait for someone to hack something and then kill them and then hack it back. Or, yeah, if there's like a group or something. Like it kind of suits what they want them to be, I feel.
I can see that working devastatingly very well with the cloak.
Yeah.
Get in there with the Minotaur, the cloak, and you can speed hack a point extremely quickly without them realizing that you're actually even there.
And the Nova Knife, too. I mean, that's still going to be, because their damage, their damage is not getting nearly as impacted as the other weapons. I think you're going to end up with some very nasty melee suits with the Minotaur Scout.
Indeed, we already have those, and having them with a cloak as well.
Yeah, and if you think about it, one of the things, it's a matter of that, Nova Knifer getting up to you. And with the cloak, that can give them that opportunity to get up next to you, get behind you, and, shunk shunk, you're dead,
Yeah. And with the 2 equipment slots, I can see like a scout going remotes and like a nano hive or something, just for like the extra remotes, like because they're normally limited to 3, and I think Proto get 4, and they can use more. But
well, see, that's the thing I'd also see is as Jackal was mentioning, the point defense, a scanner and remotes. I mean, that's really the 1-2 combo that you really need in terms of holding down a point in a lot of cases.
I guess, although if you think about like the bonus, let's say the Caldari gets, it's getting like a scan radius and scan precision bonus. So
it's going to be the cloak hunter, in my opinion. It's going to be the one who hunts down the ones who are cloaked and trying to stealth in.
yeah, but even
Yeah,
then,
It's probably the one who you choose for point defense. You don't equip a cloak, put REs and your scanner on it for point defense.
would it need a scanner though? Because you could probably just see stuff.
You'd still want the scanner for cloaked or dampened enemies.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see.
Because I could see someone running like a scannerless one. But yeah, I guess it is like a case of we'll wait and see. But overall, like, do you feel pretty positive about the scout changes?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think the Amar Scout got the short end of the stick, however, though.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I've seen is I've seen people running numbers for how ridiculously far, like if you really go all out in terms of it running, you can literally just run circles around the map for like ever, basically. Now the question is whether or not somebody finds a use in battle for that actually makes that worthwhile. I don't know. I mean,
That's what I would be thinking. The more even combat or scanning orientated bonuses are much more amiable to actually actual gameplay. Whereas running around is all well and good, and scouts do need to run far and fast, but it's not always their primary role.
No, but what you could end up seeing is it could be like in Planetary Conquest. It could be the suit you use to run to your home point.
And all run up links in.
Yeah, and you just and that's the suit that you do that with. But I don't know, like I just I mean, that's the suit you go from maybe point to point, that kind of thing. But because if you put a proto cloak on that thing, and then you got 80 seconds you can run, and if you're running almost that whole 80 seconds, you can probably cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're camped into your red line or something, then it would be great for just sort of escaping and going and capping like a back point. Like, it would be much better at doing that than like just trying to like bulldoze your way through with an LAV or something.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, with the cloaks instituted, getting through enemy lines isn't that difficult. And as far as I'm aware, you can still run with the cloak, can you? I'm not sure.
So from what CCP has said so far on the forums, it's like the running makes you more visible with the cloak. When you're still, it's basically perfect invisibility.
Yeah, but you are immune to scanners when you're cloaked.
I
you
don't
could-
think you're immune, are you?
You're not immune.
I
Your profile's
I believe you can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, profiles will do. So scanners will still show you up. Well, they'll show you on the map, from what I understand. CP was saying they'll show you on the map, but it won't show you visually.
Okay. So I guess like if you use terrain well or something, then it could be good for. I don't know. I'm just like pulling at straws here, like trying to like find a use, but I'm sure someone will.
Yeah, and not only that, you're gonna have the people that are very diehard. I want to have all of my stuff be MR. You know, I think it's not as easy to take the MR scout bonus and be like, okay, how am I going to use this in the game to benefit me and benefit the team? It's not a straightforward thing.
Yeah.
It very well could, maybe some people are out, maybe some players out there who have some ideas, and they're gonna take a more scout and they're gonna do some crazy stuff with that bonus. But I don't know. I'm just not seeing it as much.
Okay. I guess we'll move on from the scouts then. I mean, aside from the MR, they look great, and like they seem to be more about like the actual scout role as opposed to just being like an assault suit with less health and less sig radius or profile. Sorry.
Definitely, yeah.
But I guess we'll move on to the medium suits, and we'll start with the Logi ones because those are kind of sort of simpler to sort of wrap my head around right now. So I guess the role bonus is reduction to PG and CPU cost of equipment, which, I don't know, it's about time that that's happened, because that kind of forces people to be away from the Slayer role. It seems like they really want to get people actually using like equipment and actually being Logis just because of that bonus.
And the racial bonus on top of that as well are actually equipment specific these days, so it actually makes it a lot more intuitive to what you choose. You know, obviously Kaldari is better at running, no hives, stuff like that. Galente, obviously, you're looking at active scanners, and Minmatar, repair tools, stuff like that. They've actually customized to each equipment, so if you want to be the Repper Logi, obviously Minmatar is your better choice. It's not your only choice, but it's your better choice.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially, I can see a lot of people switching to Amar and Minmatar. I think those are going to be the two really popular ones.
I don't know, but see, that's the thing. What's really going to be the wild card is how prolific cloaks become and the scouts, because the Gal Logi with its scan bonus could be, something you want in your squad is somebody with that specialty in that scan.
See, I feel the same way. I almost feel like PC fits are going to be based off of roles have played a part in PC obviously for a long time. You've always had to organize it that way, but I feel like definitely there's, there was always the flexibility because you didn't have bonuses on the Logis that were outside of the min that made it specifically good at something than everybody else with the way that equips are. And so, I mean, the way that Amars and Gal Logis are going to play in PC now, I think it's going to be a huge meta evolution as far as the way it's played, because you're right, like what Kane said is exactly true. I'm planning already now and talking to my guys and trying to determine, okay, if you've been a Logi in the past, like this, and you have over 25 mil SP, you're going to need both of these Logis, because it's not good enough to just have one. You need both with in order to satisfy the composition of a squad.
Oh, totally. And things like the Caldari Logi, nano hives are always needed, so they're going to be the baseline entry level Logi. You're going to go with them when you don't really have a specific role in mind. It's you throw down nano hive and it reps your, they're probably going to be more for the point defense for the rep hives and stuff like that.
So
and no doubt with no slot changes. Oh, sorry, but with no doubt with no slot changes to the Cal Logi as well. Oh man, I still see that as being a massively useful suit as well, no doubt.
So I was just going to ask, do you think we'll see Logis going? Do you think we'll see like people just picking up a Mara Logi, switching to it, dropping uplinks, and then switching back to like their regular suit?
100%.
Of course,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can tell you right now, like, this is not new information. I told my, a lot of my corporation members, look, it's something that Nyan Sand's done for a long time. It's sort of like been their go-to strategy, is this lightning sort of quick combat that shifts from, at the beginning of the battle, a boatload of people spawning in, dropping a ton of links. The importance of links to them is, it's a constant thing throughout the battle, particularly for Nyons. It's why they got the name Nyan Spam, right? Because they've just been so effective at putting all of these links down. And then basically to spawn in, have a boatload of people directly after on their next death, spawn in as heavies, spawn in as assaults, spawn in as point pushers that are, now that all the equipment is down, they don't want to be gimped by the lower amount of move speed, or they want to have the more HP and have the DPS of an HMG pushing in. It's a huge difference maker, and I'm definitely something that I'm planning for as far as my corp goes.
So do you think everybody is going to take Amar and Caldari logistics?
Amar and Galente, I think, more than Caldari. I think nanohives are important, but just because the way that scans work within PC, always needing to light things up, Amar is definitely going to be 100% something that almost invariably and ultimately I want every person on my team to be able to run.
The Mimitar couple well with the heavy, so when you're running a pair with a heavy, you run the Mimitar.
Yeah, no.
So that's more of a specialized role, whereas Caldari are very generalized.
Yeah. But the difference being that, like, I feel like I would make my heavies. I would make a person who is his first role as heavy make his second role a Logi. Whereas the rest of the Logi suits are almost like more like, it doesn't pose a necessity to me within PC. Scans and links are a necessity that I can't, I can't justify not having people spec them. Does that make sense?
No, I think that's absolutely right. I think the Mimitar Logi is something that you will see more in pubs and that kind of thing. Yes, you can rep people. I think that's the other thing. I think, you put a core repper tool on a heavy, that's going to be a very compelling duo. It's just, have.
Check, I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
There he is.
Oh my gosh, DCs, no!
It's like going.
It's the shottiest Scott I've ever been part of.
I know, it is like trying to play Dust, man.
Welcome
Anyway, where
back,
were we?
everybody. We'll keep going with the suits. I believe we were talking about Logi suits, and you were talking about everybody's going to have Amar as a second.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I remember now.
I still totally think, like, if someone gets a depot, they're just going to have, like, Caldari Logis with, like, rep nanohives everywhere.
Yeah, that's why I think for point defense, that's going to be a point defensive choice. It gives you a 5% bonus to rep amount, stuff like that. Just on the thing, the bubble invincibility that we used to have a while back with the rep hives was is going to be even more powerful with them.
I wonder if it's going to become like a possibility where, you realize that if you have a huge clone advantage within a battle, would you be willing to just suicide in order to go, if you have the versatility to run multiple Logi suits, to just suicide so that, or basically go run into enemy fire and try to kill someone and get killed so that you can swap as quickly as possible to go put all of that equipment down on its racial suit? I think that's going to, it's not something I necessarily know is going to happen, but I think that that's a possibility.
I can certainly see situations.
You can see it happening if a supply depot is near one of the points that you're holding. You could run there, change suit, run back, switch, throw your equipment down, run back, change suits. If you were sort of in a lull in the fight. Don't know about suiciding though, unless you ran in Amar first and use your own uplink to come back in.
And I can certainly see like Amar Logi being pretty much the suit of choice for like a tank driver, for example, because you could just hop out your tank, throw an uplink down, and like drive off.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I would also see Minmatar as well for that because the repair tool bonus.
Mm-hmm. Because you could rep yourself, especially with shield tanks becoming more popular. I think with
the only issue I have, I'm not sure if they're going to address it. The repair tool only repairs armor, doesn't repair shield.
No, I mean, yeah. With your shield tanks, though, you don't have to run. You run all shield buffs, and then you run very little to no armor tank. No reps or anything like that. And then what you do, your fallback, and if someone gets through your shields, but you still get out of the situation, you just rep up your shield tank. Your shields get recharged, and boom, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
I think something that we may actually see as well, and I think a lot of people haven't even considered, is tanks with min logis in them.
Yeah, I can certainly see like gunners hopping out of tanks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I think people have been going through their skill trees, knocking out all the big stuff. But once they start hitting on small turrets and all the stuff, and all the things needed to make those fit a little bit better, I think you're going to see a lot more people fill in those slots. And then with all these suits, with the different bonuses you're going to have different. You could have a tank carrying, an Amar Logi with links, carrying a Kaldari Logi, carrying a Galint. You just basically put a whole bunch of roles, and so that tank becomes a kind of a force multiplier. With the people that are inside it.
From what I'm looking at, gathering from the bonuses, the Amar is the one shot. You jump into it, you throw down your links, or you start in it, you throw down your links, you get, and then the usefulness of the bonus is gone. You switch to something else. That's the way I'm sort of looking at it at this point in time. All the other ones have ongoing potential during a match.
Well, see, the thing with the Amar Logi though is with that sidearm, with the time to kill. Modification.
More combat capable.
Yeah, with that time to kill modification, I think you're going to find a lot of people having to switch to their sidearm to finish off targets a lot more, And so having that fallback is going to be something, and also with the way that the proficiencies are changing too, you're going to want to have complementary weapons. One to go after one to go after shields, maybe one to go after armor, and you kind of you cycle through those weapons to take somebody out.
Something else I could see as well, especially with the Amar Logi, would be you run like, let's say, a small railgun on a tank with the Amar Logi in it. He then overheats that during a combat fight, and if he needs to, hops out with like a swarm launcher and then like finishes off the vehicle. And he still has the sidearm so that he can do infantry combat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Amar Logi has that versatility because of the slide arm slot.
But yeah, anyway, we'll move on from Logis. I think they all look pretty good. They all have their own little niche, and I think they need to do something about equipment spam in general. Like, I don't think doing something with the suits itself is going to fix that. Just like, people are just going to spam drop-up links and nano hives, and there's nothing they can do about it aside from fixing that. But speaking of sidearms, the one suit that we haven't talked about has sidearms, so we'll move on to that, which is the assault changes. And there's been a lot of like mixed feelings about these, especially the Kaldari one. So does anyone want to quickly go over like the assault changes?
Well, we know the essentially the Caldari, right, has the 5% to reload speed of hybrid railgun. I just don't. Here's the, I have such mixed feelings about this because honestly, I don't think reload speed is that huge of a factor. Especially, I mean, I get it. Like TTK is increasing, but even just the weapons that it applies to, I don't see it as a huge game changer, and I don't think it's a compelling reason to spec it.
I would actually have a different view on that. I run Caldari Assault when I'm not running my tank at the moment. And you're often using your duck and cover. You're often jumping up behind cover and you're reloading on the fly as you do so. So the ability to jump into cover, reload quicker, and get back out into the fight faster means they haven't got the time to come up on you as quickly, which is generally what ends up killing you as a Caldari Assault. They get in close and you lose your cover, as any shield tank would know. And you pretty much at a disadvantage against anything. So having an extra reload speed, I was actually upset when they took out the reload speed from the original Caldari Assault. Having it back is actually a boom for me.
I actually knew another player that was mad as well. It was I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but his name was Funkmaster Whale, and he was in the same boat. He was kind of like, they took away the reload speed, but it's not even I think the reload speed back in the day though was to all weapons, right? It wasn't just to specifically hybrid railgun and light sidearm weapons. And I can't remember, was that one a 3% bonus?
It was to all, 3% bonus reload speed for all weapons. I actually think, fair enough, it forces you to push in a certain direction. If they had kept it with just hybrid rather than hybrid railgun, if so it applied to both 2 different assault rifles, maybe it would have worked a bit better overall. Because the iconic Caldari Assault, it's still on dust, all the dust images, still has a Galente assault rifle in his hand.
I just think of the disparity between the reload speed between the Galente assault rifle and the rail rifle, or the combat rifle, or even the scrambler rifle. I don't know if you guys notice a huge difference, but for me, there's a huge disparity, and I see like the shorter a reload speed of a weapon's, like the base reload speed of a weapon, the less this changed bonus is efficacious. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I'd tend to agree it would be less effective. But if all it did was brought it back into a line with all the others, as per having a higher reload speed and then using the Caldari Assault to bring it down. Fair enough, you wouldn't be fitting rail rifles on anything but a Caldari Assault in general, but you wouldn't gain anything out of it. It would be a racial bonus to gain parity compared to all the others. So at the moment, being that it's lower or around the same sort of area as it is, when getting that extra 25% lower means it does give you a distinct advantage in your duck and cover style of combat, which Caldari is supposed to be good at.
Yeah, and a reduction to reload speed is still an overall increase to your DPS over time. But I agree. I think it's kind of up in the air whether or not it's going to be enough of a difference to matter. Now, the wild card here is the bolt pistol and the MagSec SMG. See, I think maybe the reload speed, you actually see more of a benefit there.
I definitely see it with the MagSec SMG. And the ability, the fact that we have a light and a sidearm rail weapon now also makes that bonus much more palatable for a Caldari Assault. Whereas before, when we had the Minmatar SMG and the Amar Scrambler Rifle, and then you had your Flaylock pistol, nothing was Caldari.
I can definitely see a lot of people sitting down and picking to go Assault or Commando, because the DPS is, that's the question people are going to want to ask is, does this reload speed give me enough DPS over time advantage versus just going into a Commando? Because I can, I know a lot of people are going to feel a big difference because we haven't necessarily needed Slayer Lodges have been, effective without a sidearm. But with the amount of DPS decreasing, it's going to be the big question in a lot of people's minds. That comparison.
Yeah, and I mean, and the one thing that's really, I mean, I think a lot of people are underestimating the CPU and power grid bonus to the weapons on the
I
assaults.
think it's awesome. I think it's a great bonus. It actually encourages you to run better equipment. Like a lot of assaults I see, if they do run assault anyway, they run a prototype main weapon, but then they switch out to a normal or a standard level or even a militia sidearm because of fitting requirements. Running higher grade of both will increase their ability to be a slayer, which is what assault's sort of supposed to be.
Yeah, I think in terms of the assaults though, I mean, like the Mimitar assault with the bonus to clip size.
Oh man.
Oh
man.
Yeah, like you're just gonna have like a combat rifle with what's gonna feel like a bottomless clip. And
95 bullets in the assault combat rifle.
So if you think,
and I'm looking at the SMG as well, the submachine guns. Those are going to have. They already got like 80 in the assault variant, I believe it was something like that, and that's a huge bonus.
Well, and if you think about it, that compared to the reload bonus, so you are going to be doing straight shooting for a longer time before you have to reload. So it's definitely. It's interesting because how favorably the bonus to clip size is viewed. When if you think about it, the effect is not the same, but it's similar to a reload bonus. But
yeah, more potential damage output.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
At least in the short term, anyway. Because depending on reload speeds, like you could actually be getting better DPS, like over a long period of time out of the Caldari.
I mean,
that's probably more like it. It'd be more like the Caldari would be more likely to give you the DPS over that multiple clip scenario, whereas the Mimitar Assault will give you more DPS within each clip.
Yeah, and I think the people who are really keen to dance in the box with their assaults, I think they might find a niche with the Galente Assault, with the kick and the dispersion reductions. Because if you think about it,
that I find to be a really good bonus because it's actually more effective damage application, not potential. So it keeps the damage pretty much the same as what it is, but it allows you to apply it better. So it's more effective damage output rather than more potential damage output.
Just to clarify, which weapons specifically are affected by the Galente Assault?
So that would be your assault rifles.
And the shotgun.
Cannon, and shotgun, and the ion pistol.
It's actually a huge bonus to the shotgun. Because you get that shotgun spread becomes much tighter.
Yeah, and the kick as well. The kick on the shotgun is pretty damn big. And so it will really benefit them. Plasma Cannon, I don't think gets much benefit out of it. It does get a benefit, but I wouldn't say much.
Probably not that much. I kind of wish the Plasma Cannon would get the bonus from the Caldari Assault, because that actually seems like a much better fit.
That would actually fit better, having a faster release.
I think we kind of all wish the Plasma Cannon was just
better.
Better. I think everyone wants to be better.
Hey man, I killed a dropship with one once. I felt pretty good about that.
Oh, there you go. Dude, a weapon's got problems when you feel bad every time you die to it. You're like, oh, I died to a plasma cannon. Man, what was that?
Oh man, you know what's gonna suck after the patch is the flaylock pistol, because it's getting nerfed against heavies, and it's just like, poor little flaylock pistol.
I really would think that what the flaylock needs to do to shine is they just need to give it 100% damage. 100% damage against vehicles. So basically make it an AV pistol.
See, the only issue I have with the flaylock is that it's a sidearm. It has the only thing that gives bonus to explosive damage is the assault, the Minmatar Commando. So, and that's got 2 light weapon slots. So you go for 2 light weapons, not a explosive sidearm.
Oh yeah, and the Minmatar Assault, yeah, it doesn't get a bonus to.
No, it's only the sidearm, the projectile light sidearm.
I'm glad that they
Apologies.
dropped the freaking explosive bonus, because that would have been
Mass
Mass
drivers
drivers
all
with,
day, every day.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it was good.
And-
I
and-
wanted
and
an 11
grenades.
clip mass driver. I'm not gonna lie, like that would have been. But I'll settle for like the damage being basically doubled.
Essentially, the world would have exploded.
Did you guys hear my question about like which weapons are affected by the Galente Assault's bonus?
Yes, we did.
I
Actually,
think
we
that
did
was
do
when
it.
you dropped.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Which ones are it?
Assault rifles, shotguns, plasma cannons, bolt pistol. I believe that's about it.
See, I just like outside of the so I feel like I don't know like what shotgun users are necessarily how they're gonna feel like, but I can tell you, I mean the Galente assault rifle, like outside of that, it sounds like that bonus is not particularly gonna be a huge difference maker. I wish it would've-
shotgun bonus is huge.
It's from hipfire. That's what we're talking. We're talking hipfire, not dispersion down the gun, obviously. So they're going to be much more mobile combatants. So Galente assault with a shotgun is actually going to get quite a bit of benefit. They can actually move a lot better in hipfire.
See,
They're much more mobile.
the shotguns I spoke to a few, and I could be totally off base, but the few I spoke to basically said they want more dispersion because of the way that hit detection works with shotguns. Is they want a higher % chance of something hitting as opposed to less, and they feel like that's all the bonus is really going to do. It's not going to help offset the fact that hit detection with shotguns is still kind of shoddy.
I wouldn't
It's actually
exactly
going
call
to.
that a weapon, that a shotgun issue. That's more of a hit detecting issue.
No, it is. It's just that the bonus isn't going to help that at all. It's they wanted the dispersion because of that issue. If there was hit detection issues and the shotgun registered more often, then I think they would be happier. But as is,
But I guess that's kind of like what happened with damage, was that they were like, oh, hit detection's bad, let's increase damage, and then when hit detection was actually fixed.
Time to
now
kill
they're
got
decreasing. Yeah, time to
Yeah.
decrease damage.
So I don't really like the idea of them changing shotguns because of hit detection problems when those problems get fixed. Like,
In all honesty, I can't really see shotguns being used a lot on the assaults. I'd be seeing a lot more assault rifles. Since it uses hipfire dispersion, the breach is going to be almost 100% accurate from hipfire.
So your roll bonus is really only affecting 2 weapons, or no, 3, the bolt pistol, right? 2 as well, because I mean plasma cannons, I don't know. I don't think hipfire and dispersion and kick are a huge factor, but
I think kick is, but then you reload after every shot, so it really doesn't make much of a difference. The kick, you sort of reload and re-aim. Dispersion, it's an arcing weapon. Dispersion doesn't really make much of a difference at all.
yeah, something we mentioned while you dropped was that I felt the plasma cannon should get the Caldari bonus and should basically be a Caldari weapon. Because, well, it kind of behaves like one because you've got that charge up before you fire, which is kind of standard with Caldari.
that would be sweet. Actually, that'd be great. That reload speed would be huge on the plasma cannon, especially if they don't increase the clip, which is something that I've thought they should do. Is either that or increase the projectile speed.
I heard.
Couldn't exactly call it a plasma cannon if it was a Caldari weapon though, because it's not a rail; it's a blaster, effectively.
Yeah. Although, actually, I heard a CCP guy say that they actually tried internally increasing the speed of the plasma cannon projectile, and they just, everybody was getting killed by them, apparently. It was just too good when that happened. So, I have no idea what they're going to do
I think
with it.
if you buff the plasma cannon, I think the way you would buff it is you would just greatly increase its direct damage, because it's a skill shot weapon, and it should just hit like a ton of bricks. And I think it would
And
make
give it a bit more of a clip.
Well,
Give it multiple shots per
I'm
clip.
not
I
even
don't
sure.
even think that. I think
Yeah, I don't
Kane's
even-
right. No, you don't even need an extra clip. You don't need anything left in the clip if it is going to do a massive amount of DPS with the one shot it has.
Yeah,
I could see it kind of being the type of weapon where a tank's actually pushing your point, and you're like, okay, we know AV nades aren't going to take down this tank, but if you pull in a plasma cannon, it's going to take it down. If you're CQC with it, it's going to be the huge difference maker.
Yeah, it's
It's right there. It's alpha
like your
damage. Has to be
breach.
huge.
It's your essentially your breach for. I think it really needs to it needs to behave like the breach forge for shields. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
The damage output, I would agree. Not obviously not for clip size or mobility reduction.
Not for the No, you don't want to. I think the plasma cannon has enough issues with not having to be stuck to the ground.
As long as that was direct damage only, I would be fine with that. Seeing the plasma cannon being buffed by increasing its direct damage to, I can't remember what the breach is offhand at the moment, 2.5K.
Yeah, breaches hit really hard. Oh, the other thing with the plasma cannon, though, just while we're on the subject, it just needs its bugs fixed. There are so many bugs with the plasma cannon. Like, there's a reload bug where, like, the gun won't reload for some reason. Or, like, it will say it's reloaded, but it hasn't.
Well, that's disappointing, and I didn't even know about that. I can't say that I'm a plasma cannon user.
Oh, man,
outside
just
of
like...
trolling fits, Like, I might have, 30K invested, but...
Oh, just, like, run it for a day, and you'll, like... notice all these little tiny problems with it that need fixed. Also, like, hit detection with the plasma cannon. Like, you think other guns are bad. Like, I've seen plasma cannon shots go through heavies and just, like, hit the wall behind them.
Oh, no, that could be so frustrating. There's one guy that actually particularly makes videos using the plasma cannon. I can't remember his name, though. There was a community spotlight or something done for him.
Yeah, it was, I know Moody plays with him. I know... And they did videos together. It's like
great guy
or something.
Yeah, he made all of those videos about just plasma cannons actually being a viable weapon, and I wasn't convinced necessarily that plasma cannons were a viable infantry weapon, but certainly his use of it was was awesome to watch. It's enthralling, but
yeah, I've seen scouts apparently use them pretty well, from what I've heard, but I don't know.
From what I understand, they were originally designed with scouts in mind, being a close quarters AV weapon.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they hit hard, like, really hard with a direct hit, that would be cool. But, like, they'd be like the Nova Knife of, like, slow projectile weapons. I don't know.
Nova Knife of AV.
Yeah. And it would be cool to, like, see, like, someone just panic, like, because they see a plasma cannon shot coming towards them. Like, that would be kind of cool, as opposed to people just kind of shrugging them off.
It would be awesome.
So I guess we'll move on to the last assault bonus. We've been going for quite a while, although I'm sure my editing skills have made it seem like we haven't. Which is the Amar assault bonus, which is like a 5% reduction to laser weaponry heat buildup. And I've heard I've heard it's a great thing, like it's a great suit roll bonus, but there was a guy who posted weapon stats. I think it was 2 days ago, and one of them was the scrambler rifle damage per second, like the potential of it, and it was like 750 DPS, and everything else was in the 300s. And like, I was kind of worried about that, especially with this bonus.
Oh, I've seen that, and now granted there's going to be the damage reduction, but I mean, I think you're going to end up. I mean, it's a very viable bonus because you can just dramatically increase your DPS. Because one of the things is the clip, the total DPS per clip is kind of the scrambler weapons is kind of and the laser weapons is hidden behind the overheat function, and the assault bonus kind of bypasses that. So it basically allows you to access a huge pool of damage that you wouldn't normally have access to.
I can definitely tell you right now, like, the Amar assault is, I mean, the laser rifle right now is not, exactly in a great place. It's not something that you ever see within competitive play, but the Amar assault is, because the scrambler is it's a situational weapon that is essentially almost always, if two people are, par for the course on the same, per capita on the same level of skill, Amar assaults using the scrambler are just 1v1 masters. It feels like people like First Lieutenant Tiberius and a few others who use it on the Amar assault are just absolute monsters. And the fact that you can transition then to another opponent after that, because that's really the drawback of it, is that, you know, you get to that overheat mechanic and your DPS is hugely reduced, no matter how you slice it. And it's unless you're particularly good with headshots with the scrambler pistol. And the fact that you can just have that that larger heat area in order to work with to move on to the next opponent after that. I'm really interested to see, though, next build, outside of the scrambler rifle, how the laser rifle ends up being, because I think we've been waiting, you know, since Chromosome. I think the laser rifles have been waiting since Chromosome for a weapon that was really going to shine, and I don't think it's ever gotten to a place where it truly shined yet.
I don't know. There was a period during the OB tournament, I believe the laser rifle really did shine. You slap it on damage mod, set up high, and you could annihilate practically anything that walked into your view. But obviously, since then, they've been very toned down.
There was also, yeah, like there was a period just before, like, the hit detection changes came in, and after they changed the scope on the laser rifle, where like they were actually doing really quite well, and then like hit detection got better, and every rifle suddenly became like better than it, like in every way. So there was that small period in Uprising where they were good.
Yes, I recall. I believe it was one of my own videos that was posted up on YouTube with me sitting on top of one of the maps with a laser rifle, and anything that got in my view just melted.
Yeah, I'm wondering how whether the bonus and the way that they're increasing the heat buildup and I'm wondering how it's going to play into the fact that you can't stack those damage mods now, though, or there's a huge deterrent to stacking those damage mods. I'm sure maybe laser rifles would be an exception, because in order for it to be effective, you almost have to be at range, at a certain amount of range. But maybe that's one of the few suits that still employ damage mods, much like snipers.
Yeah, and I mean, like I suggested ages ago, and this was just like me putting the idea out to, I think it was Saberwing, and I was saying that like there should be an anti-vehicle variant of the laser rifle.
Anti-material rifle.
Yeah, oh no, like an AV, that would be like the Amar AV weapon, because you got like the plasma cannon, the swarm launcher, and like the mass driver to some extent. And like the Amar don't really have anything, so I would have thought like an AV laser rifle would have been nice, but
Racial parity across AV weapons is something that I think everyone is holding their breath for.
and it kind of fits the laser rifle as well, because with AV you're like firing at something for a long period of time, which is kind of what the laser rifle is designed to do. I don't know. This is my crazy gimbal idea, so we'll skip over that for now. But yeah, I think that's probably the best bonus. Like, just from my own personal perspective and seeing what like people can do with scrambler rifles. I have been one shot many a time by them, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, especially with like the supercharged shots. Like those normally take up like almost in like half of a gun's heat bar, something like that, for a fully charged scrambler rifle shot.
I can see that being where it shines with the beginning charge shot or the finisher, whichever you happen to be using it for.
Yeah. Oh, did we lose?
I believe otherwise it might just bring the fact that the clip can be emptied without overheating into play.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're generally not used, but like the assault scrambler rifle is going to benefit from this in like that they won't ever overheat, like ever. Like you could fire an entire clip and you wouldn't overheat. I'm fairly sure that's the case right now.
Arguably, like I do think the scrambler rifle's clip size is too high, and I think its reload speed is too high. I think there's just the amount of shots that not even, I think the heat buildup works as a good deterrent to just keeping it, making it OP, overpowered. But I think there's like a ton of advantages to using the scrambler rifle. Not the assault one, but just the regular one, the Imperial and stuff. That I am a little bit concerned about its DPS in 1.8, even with the nerf. But it's something where it remains to be seen. It's no use crying over milk that hasn't been spilled yet.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I guess that's it for the assaults. I mean, I'm pretty happy with like how they turned out. The Caldari bonus, some people aren't happy about it, but it kind of depends on how the suit overall works out as well, because there's more to suits than just bonuses. Like there are like stats involved as well. So
also depends on how you play the suit. If you're a Caldari who likes to brick tank, you're not going to like the reload bonus as much as someone who ducks and weaves.
yeah. Also, I'm just noticing something now. I'm just like looking at this chart here, and something I didn't actually notice before. Like Logis are actually getting a hacking speed bonus too, and they're getting a better one than Scouts. So, and the Minmatar Assault is getting a small hacking speed bonus, like a 5% bonus, just built into the suit.
I think the idea is to have heavies being the more combat focused, whereas everything else below that becomes more multi-role in the middle, and then at the bottom you've got your scouts that are designed for scouting and hacking directly.
You know what? I'm glad you pointed that out to me. I hadn't even noticed that. That's fascinating. So basically, it almost feels like the Minmatar are actually maintaining their bonus minus what? So it's instead of 1.25, they'll have 1.1 base. That's not bad.
Yeah, 1.05 for the assaults, 1.2 for Logi, and 1.1 for the scout. Actually, I wonder what the heavy gets. Oh, the heavy doesn't get anything. That would have been silly.
Yeah. I think the heavies are trying to be the slayers. I think they're trying to make the heavies the slayers, and everything else below in the middle is sort of middle ground. You can do a bit more of everything, a bit more multi-role, and then scouts, obviously, you've got the scout abilities and stuff.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right, 1.2. Wow. So it's just losing 0.05 off of its original hack speed.
Yeah.
That's huge. I didn't even fathom. I'm glad you pointed that out. Wow.
Yeah, I only just noticed it. I was like, I wonder if there's anything good with... Because I was looking at the Caldari shield recharge, and that gets like 30 a second, as opposed to like 20 and 25 for the other suits. So, like, it does have that nice added bonus of like the shield recharge, and the shield, like, depletion delay thing is much lower too. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out. I know people aren't that happy about slot layouts, like the Minmatar have more high slots than the Caldari and the Assault, which is a bit weird. And like Caldari Logi, I think it's kind of what I hope they do with Caldari Logi is they take away one of the low slots and just give them a bit more CPU, because that's actually a buff, because right now like you have to sacrifice a low slot to get the extra CPU that you need. Like you have to put a advanced or proto CPU module in your low slot. It would probably save people like money if they just fix that. But anyway, we've been going for quite a while, so I'm going to wrap this up. And I have no idea how long this is actually going to have turned out to be, because...
Those disconnects, man. Skype has been killing us tonight.
Oh, dude, totally. Kane has just disappeared. He has to go do PC stuff, though, so it all works out. But, oh, yeah,
Well, so
anyway.
far, you've been going for about 2 hours from the look of it.
It's like, 1 hour 40 minutes according to this. But anyway. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back to a weekly schedule. Next week we'll talk either about the sidearms and like damage changes in general. We kind of touched on them tonight, but unless there's something new to talk about. And 1.8 is in like 2 weeks. And yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and I will catch you next week.
Take care, guys.